So, GM everyone, this is going to be our first offline smoke sesh. AMAs will come back here once we start rolling out deployments again, but for now we really only have a few minor updates as most of the major updates are team side workings and things that we are not ready to reveal just yet, but that will all come with time. If anyone does have questions or comments, of course I'm always available on Discord, either via DM or by a ping within the official Look Labs server. Anyone that has made an effort to contact me knows that I am generally quite quick to respond. To those of you who are unfamiliar with voices, speaking now is warily. I am the CMO for Look Labs, and I am joined here with the Look Labs CEO, Green Genie, if you want to say hi.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining.
Great, so to get started, we do have an update about Endgame. Figuring out the best approach forward here has been very important, and we wanted to make sure that we gave everyone ample time to provide feedback, and also for us to make sure that the decision we made had fully fleshed out reasoning. So going back a bit, Look Labs opened its doors to an independent team that came with the intention of developing Endgame as a component of the Look Labs studio. However, Endgame never saw commercial acceptance, and as a result, the independent team ultimately parted from Look Labs and left EG behind. As of now, Look Labs' primary objectives are regarding 420, so we have decided to put Endgame on hold. Any other approach done correctly would likely result in Endgame counterproductively siphoning resources intended for our commitments to the development of 420. The exception here would be someone stepping in to take over EG, but this hasn't happened yet, and of course, we would want to vet the situation thoroughly and probably wouldn't settle for anything less than ideal. But within that, the intention remains to revisit the development of EG when our present commitments to 420 game are followed through on, and when resources are better and more appropriately available. So moving on to 420, what I'm sure most of you are interested in hearing about for the time being, Genie, I'll pass it over to you to break down our Season 1 roadmap.
Thank you, Rory. With the focus on the development of 420, a lot of productive reflection has taken place on the team side through September. So we want to discuss our tentative Season 1 roadmap. Currently, development is focused on revising the green paper version 3 into a better version, more clearly produced and more appropriate for launch. To do this, we brought on two people, one person to help with the literature and another to aid in improving the document visually, style, graphics, organization, and so on. We recently completed our first draft and is currently undergoing team site revisions. After those are complete, we will send it to our OG beta testers for further revisions. Eventually, the launch of the green paper will be coordinated with some of our other workings and releases. Included to that effect will be the first batch of in-game items, which are already complete and ready to go. This includes the Farmer Pass, Land, or Super Wheat Serum. However, we don't want to deploy this into the game before they can be supported with proper documentation in the form of the green paper. So to reiterate, the release of those will be contingent on and coordinated with the green paper. After the first batch of in-game items, we have our second batch. We will include the Wheat Doctor Pass, Metalite Rolling Paper, and the Metalite Hoodie. The two Metalite items and the Super Wheat Serum will all have physical claimables. That process will go live after the items are dropped into the game. Following the second batch of in-game item releases will be the leaderboard updates, one of which will be include the ability to filter rankings by who is competing for shop. While we will not reveal the algorithm, know that players' best chance at obtaining a shop will come in the form of activity that the individual has culminated amongst all aspects of the game. Only the best and the most committed players in the full scope of available gameplay will be in the race for shops, which will be a game changer for those that qualify, and they will be distributed as a rewards at the end of Season 1.
Great, yeah, and of course, the dev team has been very busy finishing the Season 1 mechanics, so we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here as the focus is pretty clear at this point in time, but we have had some discussions recently about a lot of the community feedback regarding the current gameplay structure, if you want to maybe give a brief point on that.
Right now, our main goal is delivering as promised on season one, but we have noticed and discussed the feedback on how the current gameplay is structured. So, to recognize a quick point, we have seen these criticisms of season one and have very much taken note of ways to majorly improve come season two, and that we will all have dedicated communication when it's appropriate. Also, one important point before we wrap up the development updates, I want to mention that Worry posted in the minor announcement channel of our Discord to inform everyone that as part of a new deployment process that we're working on, we migrated all of our Loop Labs collections to a new deployer address.
Yeah, and if you guys want to double check that info, as Jeannie said, you can see the addresses in the minor announcements channel of our Discord, as well as that in the description of this video. But yeah, before moving on, I also want to mention that we now have a manual system in place for bud renaming. This is something a lot of people have asked for, so now you can open a support ticket in our Discord. From there, our dev team will process the renaming of your bud using an Etherscan signature to prove ownership. As I said though, this is a manual system for now, so if we get a lot of requests at one time, it might take the team a bit to process everything. But of course, everyone will get the relevant assistance in as diligent a manner as possible. So now on to the more community-focused updates. Firstly, if you hold an OG pass, you might have seen the whitelist opportunity we posted for everyone in the OG Alpha channels. In the near term, we will relaunch collabs officially, but this was a pretty high-profile collab that also was a bit time-sensitive, so I decided to run it and let it serve as a bit of an appetizer. But more on the collab relaunch when it gets to be a bit closer to the time for it. Continuing on, as I alluded to in the introduction here, the immediate term goal has very much been on improving internal functions. Obviously, we still want to be communicating with you all in the Discord mainly when we have updates, but generally beyond that, we want to sort of invite a bit of a lull where we don't demand our audience's attention from minor updates. Instead, in this meantime, we want to fully set our focus as directed towards making sure that things from the back end are to an ideal standard. That way, when we do start again with deployments and buildups, the major updates and announcements, we have the proper approach in place in terms of processes and understandings, generally clearly defined objectives that are in place not only for us to honorably act on, but also build off in a way that carries substance. Essentially, this means that going forward, a big part of my goal and really the team's goal will be to coordinate launches to be delivered in a compelling manner. So quality, excitement, timeliness. In the past, this has been a major weak point with Look Labs that the team now is very committed towards addressing throughout the immediate term, so that when we come back, we do so correctly and thoroughly prepared. Frankly speaking, even though this lull is going to suck for a bit, we would much rather this than to continue running around like headless chickens. So as a result, we are opening up the opportunity to bring on a few new team members to help with some of the functions for when Look Labs begins this targeted new leg up. So Jeannie, if you want to maybe give some insight into the team as it stands now, and then I can talk about who we're looking to bring on.
Sure, Worry. Currently, the team is made up of myself, Green Genie, aka Jordan. I'm the CEO, but also acting as the lead engineer and the lead game designer. Uh, First, we start with Worry. Worry is a long-time community member, and we recently brought him on as our CMO. Then comes G2, who designs all the complex algorithms for staking and currency withdrawals between the contracts. He's responsible for contract deployments. Next, Wukong, who is one of the best of what he does for us. That involves designing Web3 APIs, smart contracts. He's the first engineer joining our team. The remaining component of our dev team is Send, our front-end engineer responsible for connecting all the pieces together with our interface. Our design team consists of Arcade, Simotlu, who you all may know as the artists behind our Gods for Life collection. They'll be a big part of the team going forward with the visuals for the game and some of our content. Last but not least, Felon, who is currently serving as the role of a Discord admin.
Yeah, and now expanding a bit to enhance the effects of our communications team specifically, we will, as I said, be onboarding a few new roles, and those will include, firstly, a lead moderator who will act essentially as a community manager, but more so focused on the day-to-day in the community objectives rather than taking charge of the overall approach. Also, we'll be looking for a content strategist. This is someone that will work closely with me to help design some of the campaigns from a content perspective, more specifically just helping to produce individual content pieces and suggesting the best approach for their deployment. So, for example, I'll come up with a campaign idea, say what functions it needs to serve, what the objective is, and some key things to include or keep in mind. And then our content strategist will help produce some of the content ideas and the pieces to push for the campaign when it gets rolling, given the parameters that I've posed. Next would be our opening for a writer. So generally someone to just execute on any written components to our communications. So someone to write all of our tweets, video captions, descriptions, edit any of our documentation or official communications. Also, at some point, probably writing some articles or blog posts, things of that nature, and whatever additional opportunities present themselves. Lastly, we're looking for a video editor. So on a more consistent basis, the tasks here will include things like editing together these update videos, of which will be a recurring format, or creating content with our AMAs once those resume, and putting together videos for some of the content we're looking to produce. These positions are paid, and all of them are part-time at the moment while we work on getting to a better place, not only given the functions of the current team, but of course also with whoever we onboard. The only one that is not part-time is the video editor role, which will be contractual, so pay per job basically. But yeah, if anyone is interested in fulfilling these roles, we currently have a form out to OGs that are interested in applying. But tomorrow, after the release of this video, I will send out the form to the rest of our community and, of course, thus our broader audience. Anyway, I think that's it from us. Jeannie, if you have any last words, please feel free to take the stage and sign us off.
Yes, Maury. Thank you guys so much. Expect exciting weeks and months with new updates and releases. We are heavily working in the background. Again, a lot of green love to you all. Thank you for joining us today and talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.